we're getting back into our story. We have kind of a shorter chapter today. It's called Fidens Nighthand. We know that Nighthand is severely injured. One of his arms is like kind of decaying and it smells really bad. He was injured by those scary horses. And let's see what happens. Nighthand's wound grew worse as the days went on. Every movement of the boat jarred him. And each time he moved, he grew wider and wider. "We will have to find an island," said Irian. "We have to get some help for him." There was no land in sight for miles, no wind, only the calm blue sweep of the ocean. "Is there any way to send a message to anyone?" said Christopher. "Don't you have some kind of air and sea rescue?" Irian turned to him. "Say that again." "What, air and sea rescue? Air and sea? Air and sea?" She looked down at the soft afternoon sea. The water was still and very clear. Irian pulled off her jumper, her boots. She strode to the prow of the boat. She glanced once backward at Nighthand, who lay unconscious, stretched her arms to the horizon, and launched herself with a spring into a perfect swan dive. She hit the water without a ripple and torpedoed down into the depths. I wonder what she's looking for. "Irian! Irian!" called Moll. She turned, panicked, to Christopher. She can't swim." Irian was different in the water. If Moll belonged in the sky, Irian belonged at sea. She moved faster than he had ever seen a human swim, her arms tearing through the blue. She did not move straight down, but twisted left and right as she went, rippling and winding with the current. It was as if the water had a mind of its own, and she alone knew how to read it, as if the ocean itself had birthed her. "I think she said she doesn't swim," said Christopher, because clearly she can swim. Irian did not come up for air. She swam down, feet tight together, until she was so deep he could see nothing but a dark shape. And then from the water he heard her call, a call that was not in English. It was the same high call he had heard days before from the Nereids. A beat. He and Moll held their breaths, pressed shoulder to shoulder at the edge of the boat, and then far away, so faint it might have been the sea itself, an answering call. Irian erupted to the surface 30 feet from the boat. She swam to them with long, soft strokes and hauled herself up. Jacques gave a huff of admiration into the sea, and the waves boiled. "What did you do?" Moll asked. "I sent for help," said Irian. Moll was looking at her with new light in his face. It was awe. "How did you speak Nearish?" Irian looked down at the boat, hauling her clothes back into her wet body. "I'm part Nereid on my father's side, some generations back. The water does this. See, it only lasts a minute, but it shows." She held out her hands, palm up. The tips of her fingers shimmered with silver sheets. "That's incredible," said Christopher. She smiled ruefully. "To you, maybe. It's not something I advertise. There's people, so this makes sense. That's why she cares so much for the ocean. She's part Nereid, which we know those are the creatures that live in the water. They're close to mermaids, but they have legs. Is there a Nereid in our bestiology? Oh, there's a mermaid. Let's see. I think there is a Nereid. All right. So this is Irian's ancestors. So cool. There's people who treat me as some curious kind of mystic, and others would be afraid of what I might do, and their fear is dangerous to me. So I keep it quiet and stay out of the water when people are around. "Now what happens?" says Moll. "Now we keep traveling and we wait." They waited several hours before there was a thrumming in the air, and a longma swept into view above the moving boat. Anja, it's Anja. Trabas leaned down and called to the boat, "Irian, Gwyn, what is it? The Nereid sent a message to the Ratatoskas. They said it was urgent. They said it was Nighthand." She was very different from the woman they had seen before. No jewels bedecked her arms. Her hair fell in a thin gray braid, and she wore a shift dress and a dressing gown. Moll flinched at the sight of her. The longma dropped lower so that its hooves almost touched the water and hovered there, beating its wings in long, slow flaps. Anja looked over at Nighthand, and her face grew stony and cold, so she knows how much trouble Nighthand's really in. The berserker lay along the floor of the boat, draped in his own jacket. His eyes were closed, the lids fluttering with fever. Anja turned to Irian. Why did you let him reach this state? Why didn't you seek help sooner? You, of all people, will refrain from lecturing me, said Irian. I want to be clear, Madame Traverse. But I called because I couldn't think of anybody else who might have the power to help. Otherwise, I would strike you now, into the ocean. And you think that saying this is going to help you somehow, to charm me? No, said Irian to Anja, but you'll either help while knowing you're loath for Nighthand's sake, or not help at all. I won't pretend that you're forgiven. You're kind or excused so much, so often, so easily. A flash of money and all's well. I won't play that game. Nighthand wouldn't want it. Panic was raising in Moll's eyes. She whispered, oh, don't. Anja looked, nostrils flared very slightly from Irian to the berserker and back again. Tell me what happened to him. It was a carcadon. Its horn caught him, said Irian. You know of every healer in the archipelago. Can you get him help? What do you think, Millie? I don't know. Anja looked at Nighthand. You want to come up and read? There was a look in her eyes, dark, sharp, set under paperly, wrinkled lids that Christopher could not begin to decode. There is a centauride, a female centaur, on Antioch, but I can't take him there alone. I'm not strong enough to hold him on the longma's back. You'll need to come. Oh, Millie's here for reading. Arian stared at her. I can't leave 2 children in a boat in the middle of the ocean. Then you risk him falling into the sea. Which? Nighthand muttered in his delirium. Christopher struggled to hear. It sounded like Rin. This man's lips were hot and dry and unnaturally white. Arian looked from Christopher to Nighthand to Moll. Agony was across his fire-wrought face. Make your decision, said Anja. Every minute you risk his life. They're children. The old woman drew herself up on her longma. By the immortal, you may think me whatever you wish. Weak, selfish, wicked, whatever you choose. I don't care, but I'm not. I hope you'll agree. Stupid. Children have been underestimated for hundreds of years. Why are you continuing this tedious tradition? Nighthand spoke again. This time, they could hear all what he had said. He spoke through fever, but the word rang clear as a clock striking. He said, Irian. Anja flinched, but Irian didn't see. Irian looked only at Nighthand. Christopher felt suddenly he was intruding on something profoundly, private. He crouched, ouchie, 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 down beside him. For the first time, Millie! Since they'd met, she touched him carefully, deliberately, on the hand and then on the face. His eyes were open. He rested 2 fingers on his cheekbone. She rested that. Oh, okay. On his brow, on his lips. She breathed harder, as if all the sky's oxygen had rushed over to her at once. There was a look of recognition on Irian's face, the joy of one at the sea who looks up and sees land ahead. It was the face of somebody who has suddenly felt, for the first time, the precise shape and weight of their own swiftly beating heart. Fidens Nighthand, she said. I don't know what that means. Fidens? Nighthand? Does that mean she loves him? Does that mean they're married? I don't know. That's the last sentence in this chapter. It's a little mysterious. Makes me want to keep reading. But I will wait for you guys. I will not sneak into the next chapter. Thanks for reading with me today, my loves. Very curious about that. Fidens, Fidens. Let's think about what that means. And then we'll meet back up together here. And we're kind of getting close to the end of the book. We're on 276. And the story ends on 334. So we will keep reading together. I love reading with you over the summer. I love continuing this book. Think about what that last line means. I'm not quite sure. And love you guys, and until we meet again.